Good night and welcome to Mindful Life 155. I am your host, Nathan Springer. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. It is the 21st of November in the year of our Lord 2022. My voice isn't 100% tonight, but we're here still. We're here nonetheless. Someone give Mr. Chase a nice little mute for the meanwhile over there on TikTok. And Riri, half of your screen isn't working. What is going on with your screen? What is going on with your screen, Empress? What is going on with your screen? Miss Empress Rooney is over there on Instagram and she says half of her screen isn't working. It's always one story or the other with you. How did that manage to happen? All right, tonight we're talking politics and crime, as it seems like we talk about nearly every night. Recently, there was a youth parliament that was held in our parliament, and the Speaker of the House gave a little speech there, and that's what we're starting talking about tonight. At least that's the first thing we'd be talking about tonight, what the Speaker of the House had to say to the youth parliamentarians over in Parliament here. Senate President, still wasn't the Speaker of the House, my bad, Senate President, still good politicians out there. Senate President Christine Kangaloo says despite continued public backlash against the profession, there are still honorable politicians out there. She was speaking at the opening ceremony of the 11th Commonwealth Youth Parliament at the Red House on Monday morning. Quoting the Greek philosopher Aristotle, she said, "The two noblest professions are teaching and politics." And well, in that case, I would consider myself the most noble of them all, because I am a teacher who speaks regularly about politics. So, by Aristotle's definition, I will consider myself a very noble character, if I might say so myself. Phone fell. Tough. That's why you need a protective case. Missy asks, politics noble? Well, that's the problem. She's quoting from Aristotle, a Greek philosopher that said that. Because of it is something to be regretted, she said, it is something to be regretted that while teaching appears to have maintained much of its esteem, parliamentary politics have not always done as well, Kangaloo said. Because of this, she said, the youth parliament is happening at an opportune juncture in parliamentary history. All right, to understand why they were talking about politics being a noble profession, you'd have to understand what they mean by politics. You have to understand politics. Politics doesn't mean partisan politics. That's not the definition of politics. Politics doesn't mean UNC and PNM. Politics means basically the business of the polity. The polity meaning the people. That's all there is to it. Politics is the business of the people. So when Aristotle was talking about this 2,000 plus years ago, 2,500 years ago, if so much, what he was speaking about was not PNM and UNC politician, was not the politicians who see themselves nearly as proxy royalty in modern times. He was talking about it from the Greek version. First of all, you have to understand, even in the Greek context, they had slaves. So politics wasn't for any and everybody in the Greek society. It was for the freedmen, or not the serfs, the people of a certain echelon, but any member of that echelon. If you decide to go out there and seek the better interest of the polity of the people surrounding you, then that's a good thing. And if politics did not have, or if politicians did not reach to the point where they recognize that they would be able to use the public's trust for their own benefit, if they were just out there seeing about roads being paved, seeing about business deals between foreign countries, seeing about the national security infrastructure, seeing about our regiment, then that is indeed a noble cause. If that is all they did, the purpose that the politicians are there is a noble cause. The idea of politics where you have some people in a society, some people in a civilization who would take time out of their day, take time out of their life to seek the better interest of the wider civilization is indeed a noble thing. The problem being that that's not what happens in modern times. That's not how modern politics is run. Modern politics isn't run as the servant of the people kind of idea. You see, it's right there in the name, you know. Politicians are supposed to be public servants. Like, if you think about what a public servant is supposed to be, as in the definition of the name, that's a noble thing. If someone is a servant to the entire public, that's a very noble person. The Prime Minister, when you hear something as Prime Minister, it's held now with a lots of esteem, and like the Prime Minister, you think of nearly of a kind of king level. But Prime, Chief, Minister, Servant. In some places, they literally still call them the chief servant. That's what you're supposed to be. It's for those of you who may be familiar with some biblical theology, some Christian theology. In the New Testament, the Bible talks about they that shall be greatest among you shall serve. And that's nearly the idea of it. The Prime Minister, the Chief Minister, is actually the chief, the most important, the servant at the head of it all. He's the one that is supposed to be serving the most. And I know that's not the system we have. But that's the system intended. And when you hear the President of the Senate there, talk about teaching and politics, the quote from Aristotle being the two most noble professions, it's that idea. It's that idea. Maybe if there wasn't that much money involved, it may have been a different thing. Like, a lot of the idea of some of the parliamentary style politics that we have originally was not intended to work the way how it works in modern time. The idea is that you are a representative of us. I am on the wrong platform. I feel your pain, Empress Rooney. I feel your pain, but you could be on both. The idea is that these people there are representatives of the people. They go there to see about the people's best interest. They aren't there to see about their own interest. The idea is that this person is chosen by the people. They go up there and they speak on behalf of everyone else. The idea would have been that this person is supposed to be there temporarily and they don't say anything other than what the people have for them to see. Original intent. It's not what exists anymore. To be honest, I don't even know how we get it back to that original intent. I don't know how we get it back. One of the ways I might say is decrease the amount of power politicians have. Some politicians have way too much power. Maybe they shouldn't have that much power. Decrease the amount of resources given to someone for being a politician. I don't agree that if you pay them more, it would decrease their risk of bribery. That's not true. That's evidently false. So we could dispel that lying notion. Maybe. But honestly, I am not sure how we get back to politics being a noble profession. Any suggestions? How do we make politics a noble profession again? Make politics noble again. How does something like that happen? I am unsure. Hey, Roni, I see you have joined us over here on TikTok, Empress. You know, we yet to discuss how that name change happened. What's behind that name change to Empress Rooney? Are you signaling to us something, Miss Rooney? Are you signaling to us a certain favor for natural medication? That's what you're trying to tell us with that new name there, Miss Ronicia. All right. Now, I was talking. I have a bit of a hiccup here. Limit the length of time each politician can serve, Prince Chapman says. I understand that. Limiting the length of time each politician can serve might be a good idea. But here's part of the problem with that. Here's part of the problem with that, Prince Stratman, as far as I could see it. If we do find a good politician, if we find the rare, noble politician, limiting the time on this politician serving is going to mean that we lose the good politicians faster. And if there are a large number of bad politicians just waiting to replace them, we'd be losing good politicians and always replacing them with what is left there. Chef Vlor says, I was told bad politics is the fault of the general population. What are your thoughts? Yes and no. Yes and no. Like Moses and the old generation, that the entire old generation that corrupt should be removed. Chris 868, I don't think it's only the old generation that's corrupt. I don't think so. If you remove the entire old generation and bring an entirely new generation, I don't think that we stand to only have honest people there. I don't believe that. I think that is a fool's hope. But bad politics is the fault of the general population. I could believe that. I could agree with that. In that the politicians are chosen from the general public. Now, I wouldn't say that the corruption that you see coming from politicians is the fault necessarily of the population, but it's the the level of corruption I see has something to do with the kind of culture that you have in your society. It has something to do with the culture. It's cultural too. So if you have horrible, corrupt politicians, that is something signaling the nature of the culture in your society too. Wow, that's a hiccup. Because the politicians come from your general society. That's just the fact of that. Roni says they'll just bleed as much as they could in the short time they have. We love corruption more than life. And Prince Stratman says, I think even good ones may be influenced into bad practices. Maybe. Good night, Chels. What's up? All right. Let me drink some water and try and settle this hiccup. All right. I was looking at some crime news too. And Chris Seat says, then how can we get out of the corrupt culture we face as a nation? Good night, SM Resources. It's been a while. How we get out of the corrupt culture has to do with on the personal level. It's a personal level. Empress Rooney says, this weekend I in the airport and a guy who came after me and stand by get he boarding pass before I get my name on the list. Well, we know how Trinidad runs. Chris 868, I will say as I always see. It all is a matter of personal responsibility. Yes, we need to hold politicians accountable, but how you change culture is you start with yourself. That's as simple and as real as it gets. Because as much as we'd like to believe otherwise, there's only one thing we have control over in the entire world: ourselves. I can't even fully control the actions of my child, and she isn't 3 months yet. That's not even within my realm of absolute control. I do not have absolute control over that. The only thing I have absolute control over is myself, my own behavior, my own actions. You see though, Roni, you engage in corruption all on your own too. So I have control over my own actions. Are my actions at the level that I could say I am already trying my best individually? If my actions are at the level where I am already trying my best individually, then it makes sense that I look externally now. Okay, who can I help that is closest to me that it would make sense I do that too? And If everyone does that, then you have that kind of change. The problem we have is a lot of people have no interest in it being introspective about it, not analyzing themselves to see, okay, maybe I am corrupt myself. Let's see where I am corrupt if I can help that. No. Sorry, let's just look out there and see in the general world where this corruption is, that I will go out there and fight as an honest and non-biased an honest and non-biased person fighting for honesty in society. And I don't believe you. If you are already a corrupt person yourself, I don't believe that if you go out there to fight, that you would actually be fighting for honesty. You may be fighting for things to be better for you and things to be better on your side, but I don't believe that you're fighting for honesty. And that's why I have water, somnus, I frit. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I was just trying to get rid of some hiccups, folks. I'm fine. We just got rid of some hiccups. Prince Stratman says we need better detection for corruption and stricter punishment, including the death penalty. You would do the death penalty for corruption. You have to ask what level of corruption you'd kill people for, because you'd be killing a lot of people. If you're doing the death penalty for corruption, Prince Stratman, there are lots of people in Trinidad you're going to kill. You're going to be racking up a lot of bodies. I don't think we'd have enough space in our cemeteries. If only that glass of water could cure corruption. If only, then we'd all be well. But the part of the problem, you're talking about detecting corruption and punishing it. Part of the problem is that the people that write the laws in our country are the politicians. And the people that are most fingered and pointed out at in corruption are the same politicians. We are expecting that the same people who would write the laws would be the same people who would write laws to catch themselves in corruption. That's a lot of expecting. That's a lot of expecting. And that's part of the problem, even with expecting that from new people. I saw the PEP had one of their meetings, their cottage meetings this weekend going here, and they were talking about that and what they would do if they would get into power, and in their first week what they would do and how quickly they would do that, and etc, etc, etc. And I've heard many people talk about such things. It's just hard for me to take you seriously, because usually what happens is you get into the position and you recognize, wait, now I am in the position, would I really want to do things to make it harder for myself? That's the question you have to ask. How many people would actually do that? Put laws in place that would make it to be such a way that if I cheat, if I do corruption, I would go to jail. Which politician is going to write a law to send themselves to jail? It's a hard thing. Everyone always know what they would do. Chef Velo says revolution is the only way forward because talk not getting us anyway. And when you say revolution, what exactly do you mean? Because revolutions have happened time and time and time again in the world, and revolutions don't tend to bring anything better. They are very, 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 two more varies, very, very few revolutions that have ever worked and created anything except hell on earth. probably one of the very few revolutions that worked was the American Revolution, where they fought for their independence, as it were. It could be considered a revolution or a independence fight, according to how you look at it. But nearly no revolution works. If you see, the very principle of revolution is not a stable principle. The principle of revolution is that if things are not going the way I like it, then I am within my moral right to violently change it. And you understand how something like that cannot stop. Things will never be going according to how everyone in society wants it. And if you say people have a moral right to violently throw things over if it isn't going according to how they like it, well, you would always have people violently throwing things over. That's what France figured out real quickly. It's not very easy to maintain peace in a revolutionary atmosphere. It doesn't really work like that. I am not for revolution as much as I'm for reform. I believe things can be reformed. We can change things. There are changes that can happen. I don't disagree with that. I, however, am much more of the view that changes come from the ground up. Changes come from society upwards. If you want to have change, you don't go out to society and try to get society to elect a perfect politician and that politician is going to come in there and fix things. No, you go out there and you try to get society to behave a certain way, and when society behaves that way, when you have societal change, you have them electing politicians based on that. Societies elect people based on their general virtues, and that's the people that rule. France paid a heavy price for revolution. Yes, many times over they did. Many times over. Interesting. However, I was watching some crime news recently, some news of the police and how the police do their job. And I saw something in this that regularly bothers me. Regularly bothers me. I'll read the article and I'll say what bothers me about it when we reach to that point. 3 held for obscene language, assaulting police, drugs. A series of early morning patrols and searches in Port of Spain and Santa Cruz led to the arrest of 3 men for cursing, assaulting a police officer, and drug possession on Sunday. You all listen to this very carefully. Let's listen to this very carefully. In the first incident, police from the Port of Spain Task Force went to Grand Curacay Road, Santa Cruz at around 1:44 a.m. Well, it's not about what they know, it's about what you could prove, Chris 868. It's about what you can prove, not about what you know. So, the police went to Grand Curacay Road, Santa Cruz at around 1:44 a.m. That's 1:45 in the morning. 1:45 in mañana. Alright? While there, a 28-year-old man began cursing the police. He was arrested and charged. Listen. Let's think about this. Police went to a home 1:45 in the morning. And the only thing they arrested the man for was cussing. So what were you doing at his home 1:45 in the morning? You come to my house 1:45 in the morning and arrest me because I wake up cussing? I mean, I won't, because I am a man that attempts to use my words better than that. But I could understand why the average Trini is going to wake up cussing if you come to their door 1:45 in the morning for no good reason. They found nothing. The only thing they arrested the man for was cursing. Like, something about that seems very oppressive to me. This is why I regularly say I believe Trinidad should relook at those obscenity laws. It's not that I am a proponent that people should go out there cussing everybody. I am not saying that. I think people shouldn't cuss each other. It's insulting, it's unnecessary, great. That's my personal view. However, I don't think that the police should have the authority to arrest you for your language. All right, Tyson, word up, cool. I don't think the police should be able to arrest you for your words. That seems pretty ridiculous to me. I was watching a video recently, a policewoman cuss a man and tell him I didn't stutter. I tell you, and she cuss him, plain, no stuttering, and repeated it for him. And he can't do anything about that. But if he dare reply with the same, he's arrested. That is giving the police an unfair amount of power in the country. That's giving the police an unfair amount of power. How could you have police going to someone's home at 2 o'clock in the morning and arresting them for cussing? Oh, Kalimo, the super mustache still growing, man. It's still growing. It's still regrowing. But yeah, but that isn't where this story ends. The same officers went to St. Barb's Road, Port of Spain at around 2:28 a.m. So, half hour later, to search another house. While there, one of the officers was assaulted by a man who struggled with police trying to subdue him. He was eventually arrested and charged with assaulting an officer and resisting arrest. So, I know sometimes there are officers in the live. I would like somebody to explain this to me. If you arrest me and charge me with resisting arrest and, well, assaulting you while I was resisting arrest, what were you arresting me for in the first place? How could you arrest me for resisting arrest? What was the initial arrest that I resisted arrest for? I don't understand that. I never understood that. When police talk about they arrested someone for resisting arrest, like, okay, resisting arrest should at least be said after, well, I arrested them for guns and ammunition and resisting arrest. That's a following charge on it. Okay, fine, understood. But how is the initial charge resisting arrest? So I go and I attempt to hold you down, and when you say, why are you holding me down, and you resist, then I arrest you for resisting because you had no idea why you were holding, because you had no idea why I was holding you in the first place. That sounds just oppressive to me. Good evening, Adish Ramnarayan over there on Instagram. That just sounds oppressive. Happening at 2:30 in the morning. So you go by the first house, arrest the man because you go on by his house and he wake up cussing and you arrest him for that. You go by the second man, you try to hold him down, he doesn't like you holding him down, and you arrest him because he doesn't like you holding him down. These kind of things are why so often people in some of these hotspot communities regularly complain that people who talk about these communities don't understand what happens inside of these communities. People don't understand that when you see an incident where the community is railing up against the police and you're like, why did they just calm themselves? You don't understand that the police have been arresting people 2 o'clock in the morning for cussing. Police have been arresting people 2 o'clock in the morning because they tried to bully them and the people didn't like themselves being bullied, and then they arrest them for resisting bullying. That's resisting arrest by itself. The charge should be resisting bullying. If the only thing you are charging me for is resisting arrest, let's don't call it arrest. Let's call it what it is. Resisting bullying. Because you had no reason to arrest me in the first place. What you were doing is just bullying me. You felt to manhandle another man. Wow. As a police, you all need to answer that on your own. But if you felt to manhandle another man and the man didn't like you just manhandling him for no reason, you arrest him for that. That doesn't quite add up. Now, there are other sides to this. As someone asked earlier on, if the police know where the gangs are, it sounds very pride. Yeah, I could understand that. People were asking earlier, if the police know where the gangs are, how come the police don't do anything about the gangs? And things like this is what many police do, attempting to find ways around the law in controlling gang warfare. So I wouldn't be surprised. The guy who they arrested for cussing when they ran up in his house at 2 o'clock in the morning, I wouldn't be surprised if he may be suspected in some gang-related activity. It might be. And the police are struggling to prove their case on the gangs or drugs or guns front. So, you know what? Instead of us being able to prove that, let's run in there and arrest him for something else in the meanwhile. And it may be the same thing for the guy resisting arrest. They they are aware that these men may be suspected in certain other kind of activities. So they attempt to arrest them for something else and hold them for that in the meanwhile. I understand why you would want to do that as a police. You can't yet prove your case, so you're trying to get something else intermediary in the meanwhile. The problem is, I think that just makes the problems worse, because when you do something like that, the community loses trust in you. People recognize, well, the police don't actually function on a law-based grounding. They function on what they think and what they feel. They feel you're guilty, so they will find a reason to arrest you. They arrest you and find the charge after. And that's not how the system is meant to be working. These are the reasons police are not trusted in these communities. Police are not trusted in these communities. First incident, 1:44, they ran up in Santa Cruz. While there, a 28-year-old man began cursing the police. He was arrested and charged. Arrested and charged for cursing the police who ran up in your house 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the charge. No other, like, if it was for cursing the police after the police found drugs in your place, well, fine. Arrest him and compound it with the obscenity charge. Fine, I would have agreed. But you found no drugs. You found no guns. You found nothing. It's ridiculous. And then, even if you are arrested wrongfully here, if you sue them for wrongful arrest, these hyper police that just wanted to come and have a romp with a man, that's all they wanted to do. Bully. They wanted to show that I could bully some of you. They don't have to pay anything. The taxpayers now come out and they go and pay these men. So let's look at the whole picture here. Let's look at the whole picture in this. Let's say these people are suspected of gang activities. They are suspected of gang activities. Okay, fine. A suspected gang member. The police can't yet prove their case, so they go out and they find something frivolous and go and harass the men for it. Harass them for cussing them 2 o'clock in the morning. Harass them for resisting arrest while there was no initial arrest in the first place. You arrest me for resisting bullying, and that's the charge. Now, if these men go and sue and win the lawsuit, then what you have is men who are already suspected of gang activity. So it's not like these men are upstanding members of society in the first place. They're already suspected of the gang activity, and you harass them, and the only thing you give them is more money from the taxpayers. It solves nothing. How long would someone remain in jail for an obscenity charge? How long would someone remain in jail for resisting arrest? These things, it's not even like it would get the men off the street. All you're doing is annoying the man. Even if he's a gangster. I'm saying let's hold the assumption that these men are all gangsters for real. They are gang members. Legitimate. You're not holding them for a lengthy period of time. You're not building a case by arresting them for cussing. You're not building trust in the community by doing that. The community isn't going to look at you arresting them for cussing or for resisting bullying and say, that's the police doing their job. That's not going to happen. What is possibly the benefit of doing something like that? Can someone explain the benefit to that to me? And in the entire overnight, all this, they did all overnight. The only sensible arrest. Police then went to Pioneer Drive, Silas, at around 4:04 a.m., where they searched the house and found a plastic bag with cocaine in the roof of the kitchen. One man who was in the house was arrested. That is the only arrest. All night, the police beat the road whole night. Search up and down the place. I wonder if we could get a readout for how much that bit of police activity cost us. The vehicles, the overtime for the men, because someone of them for sure cashing in on some overtime with all of that. The vehicles, the overtime, the guns, the gas. Check everything. Put a number cost to that. Probably 25,000, 30,000 overnight. So the country paid 30,000 to go out there and harass a man in his boxers for cussing you when you run up in his house 2 o'clock in the morning, and to arrest a man for resisting arrest. And as I said, a resisting arrest only charge to me is an arrest for resisting bullying. How could you arrest me for resisting arrest? So we spent 30,000 as a country for a resisting arrest charge, a cursing charge, and one drug-related charge. A bag of cocaine in the roof of the kitchen, and the man was found in the home. Who knows if that would even hold up in court? Very likely, all 3 of these men are out by today, tomorrow, with having paid bail. What was the purpose of all of this? $30,000 probably spent on all this work by the police. And I understand it could be easy to be critical of the police, but to me, there are just some low-hanging fruit that the police could do to increase some of the trust. For one, please, let us never hear about an arrest for resisting arrest. What is this? How could you arrest someone for resisting arrest? Let's never hear about that. Let's never. Easy, low-hanging fruit. Don't arrest someone for cussing 2 o'clock in the morning. Try and find something more substantive than that. You make a release. 3 arrests overnight. Cussing, resisting arrest. And 1 drug. It's just disappointing to me. Really disappointing. And unfortunate, really and truly. I don't understand what they expect from that. How we expect to react to crime better in the country when these are the things that come out of it. The police seem to me like they lack strategy in a lot of these things. I don't know, maybe there's some strategic reason behind all of this, but from the outside it seems like woefully lacking on strategy. Like a long-term strategic plan to counter crime. I don't know. I wonder, I think it should be a requirement. Any commissioner of police should at least know how to play chess. I wonder if Mr. Jacobs knows how to play chess. If we go run a game of chess with him, if he has that thinking of planning before what's going to happen, and then if I do this, what's going to happen, and then if I do this, what's going to happen, and then what's going to happen with the and then. This kind of brutish police work where it's like bad men in uniform. That's the part that seems so unsettling to me. So often, police seem to take the position of really and truly just legal bad men in uniform. It's not that they are better educated in the law. It's not like they have better de-escalation skills. They're just like the other bad men out there. Very aggressive, just waiting for an excuse to get violent. No, what we want What we would like to see would be public servants who obviously look trained, they have expertise in this area, they know how to go into a situation, and all right, we meet someone 2 o'clock in the morning and they aren't reacting well to us. Let's learn how we could de-escalate this. Maybe we could get information out of this guy instead of just getting cuss words. Legal gangsters, for real, Collymore, for real. It's what a lot of them seem like. All right, folks, my voice is kind of going if you can't hear it here, and I'm struggling a bit with that. So I'll leave it at that tonight and leave my voice a bit to heal up for tomorrow, and we'll do the live. We'll be here back again for the next Mindful Live tomorrow evening at 9:15 thereabouts with a better voice, hopefully. Police intimidate, they don't investigate. That's true. So we'll be back again here tomorrow, guys. We'll be back again here. Hopefully I can find some honey and lime tonight. I will see you guys again for the next Mindful Life tomorrow evening around 9:15. I hope you were educated, informed, or entertained nonetheless. And I will see you guys then. Peace. Thank you all for still being here. Thank you all for still being here.